what actually happened is that the previous driver had an engine swap in that truck, and that driver left the company, so they just
So the
placed
next driver
the
took the
invoice
blame.
from the previous driver to the next one. That's something that they did constantly, and they did it regularly, on a regular basis. The thing that I know, have you heard? How many trucks does Super Ego have? What do you think?
Like Super Ego themselves, or you mean like spread across all the companies?
Spread across all of the companies that they have.
I don't know. I've had to guess a couple thousand, right?
Well, they have registered around 1,700 trucks.
Okay.
That's the registered ones. Now, that's what I heard on the documentary that's gonna come out on Sunday as well, but that's not completely true. They have way more. They have way, way more. They have about 17,000 trucks.
The rest are not insured, I take it.
Are just not insured. Their VIN numbers have been completely scraped off, and they typed in the similar ones, I mean the same ones that were actually insured.
Damn, that's
So
pretty smart, dude. So
yeah,
that you're double insuring the trucks, if not triple insuring.
probably more like tripling. So you insure one truck, and you have a VIN number, and then you just scrape it off, and you kind of pressure it for a new one, and you have practically a new truck on the same insurance.
So as long as two of them don't crash at the same time, you should be good to go.
Oh yeah, like I mean, they just need to, be on their own part of the road. Yeah, you know. So yeah, that's kind of the situation that they did. I didn't hear that in documentary, so maybe they missed that. But that's from the dispatcher perspective, what I've heard, and also what they did. As I understand, the guy said about million or 2 million a week that they kind of stole. Isn't too
Christ.
far off, but like, yeah, I mean, if you take into the account, let's say that average load is $1,000 a day. Let's call it like that, and you take 25% of each load, that's $250 load a day, and you take that into 7 days, so you get pretty decent amount of money from one truck.
And
Now,
how much do the dispatchers get to keep of this? If if you don't mind me asking.
yeah, so when I worked there, because you need to work there at least 3 months in order to get the percentage of every cut. I didn't get to experience that because I was feeling sick to my stomach because of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You get around, as I remember, 10% of every 25% that you get.
Okay.
So if you took $250, you get $25.
And
But
that's good for in
everyone
Serbia,
has
right?
like, no, I mean, we're not like that third world country where, you live off of $20 a month. Like,
Well, yeah, but if you do
we're not
$25 10
Venezuela.
times, $250, you know what I mean? So you're probably getting more than that. So I mean,
Exactly.
but
That's
dispatchers are
what I
getting paid
wanted.
pretty good out there for considering for being in
That's
Serbia.
what I wanted.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to tell you. So if you have like 10 drivers on your fleet, and you take at least $25 from each one, then you have $250 a day plus your base salary that's around, let's say, $2,000.
Mm-hmm. For a
So
month, though, just so people understand, $2,000 for the month, right?
yeah, $2,000 a month
Yeah.
for the dispatch fixed salary plus $25 a day from each driver. So you can count that in, like, how much is that? $250 times
Yeah, 750 plus
seven.
250, 1250 a week.
Yeah. So yeah,
Wait, more.
a week. No, no, more, more, more.
1750 a week for in Serbia.
1750,
Yeah,
and then times four, because you have
wait.
4 weeks in a month plus a base salary. Yeah, you
Damn, so
get
the
around
Serbian
eight
dispatchers
or
out there
nine thousand
driving
bucks.
BMWs and stuff out there, dude, and because that's good
Uh,
living conditions out there.
yeah. To be honest, like, I mean, most of the dispatchers there are kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and when I say kids, I don't mean like underage, but like, like 20, 21 year old kids that are high school dropouts,
Yeah.
and they just want to get a fast way of earning money, but that's why they have so many freight guards. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the situation. But
So how does that work with
when
the
it
freight
got
guards?
there,
So how are they getting still freight from brokers? So does this go back to, because a lot of people have been telling me a lot of shit. So what I'm understanding is that they have a lot of brokers paid off right in their pockets, and they do like Telegram groups to get a lot of loans that are not even on the boards, and then they get those loads from those brokers, and then they give it to the drivers, and then they cut them. Is that kind of how it works as well, or how does it work to book the
Well,
loads?
no, 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 no. Like, I mean, no, I'm gonna get so fucked
You're already
because of
fucked,
this.
bro.
Because
Just get fucked all the way.
yeah,
Then it's okay. Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
but like, I mean, because I'm still a dispatcher, I'm probably gonna have problems with these brokers. But like big houses, if you take into the account the big houses like CH Robinson,
Uh-huh.
Echo, Arrive, RXO, and
RXO.
so forth, like all of those brokers are working with Super Ego, and they have specialized boards for them, like special loads for specifically Super Ego drivers, because they know that they fix their clocks. They know that their drivers will drive 20 hours a day.
And
Like
make a
they're
thousand miles overnight.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like they have specialized boards for Super Ego drivers, and probably a lot of Indian carriers. Like I've heard from an Indian coworker that worked for the other company that did completely legit stuff, like that's out of the question. They're completely fine and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but he said that he worked for an Indian company that's a carrier that also has like 7 or 8 thousand trucks, and it's the same story as Super Ego in Serbia. Now for your viewers references, like India and Serbia are like 2,500 miles apart. Like we're not even close. Like
Yeah.
don't mix whatsoever. But like the scammers in Africa are as well. They also have specialized boards from CH, from Echo, from Arrive,
Now, what do you mean by
from
specialized
RXO.
boards?
Well, for example, if you saw a load on that,
Mm-hmm.
and that load said, okay, so you pick up in, let's say, Columbus, Ohio, and you need to get to Houston by tomorrow at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, okay, but currently it's like 5 p.m. And they said, well, yeah, like, but you need to be there at 5 a.m. You're going to be like, well, that's 1,300 miles. Like, that's not possible. And they're going to say, well, okay, we have someone that's going to do that, because they don't want to hear those excuses from us legit carriers that are actually um caring about our drivers, you know. Uh, that's why they have specialized boards for hot loads that are actually paying awesome money.
Yeah, that's what I
They
heard. They pay
get,
pretty good, right? Like they were paying pretty good. And then, but
oh
then
yeah,
the
yeah,
brokers
yeah.
are obviously paid in their pocket, right, for saving those loads for those companies. And I mean, that's how the shit works, right? One hand washes the other. But yeah, that's crazy, man. I didn't know that shit goes that deep. Just so whoever just tuning in right now, just so kind of we recap, right? So we got a fake name Oscar, right? So he's in charge of everything. And then you're saying the people under him. So I just want to kind of get back into the whole thing. So the people under him are they really his god kids, or you're just saying that like, or they
No,
just
no, no, no,
okay?
no, no. They're actually his God's kids, like
Oh, so they are his god kids. Okay.
legit. Yeah, 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 yeah. Like if you take just one search for Serbian protests, like I've said, you would know who Oscar is. Like I'm not even joking. Like whatever you Google on Serbian protests for last year and a half, that's the guy. I cannot tell anything more about it because I will get fucked legally here. But like I gave you all of the information
Yeah, I'll take
needed
a
to
look
do
at it.
your own
So
research.
so then how?
Yeah.
So we're okay. So we're linking it them, and then so we got the president under him, right? And then the Mimage guy was the front guy for the trucking
Yep.
companies in the U.S. or just for Super Ego, right? In the U.S.
I mean, he was the main guy for Super Ego in general and all of the MCs
Oh,
around
all
it.
the
Like
MCs.
I
Okay, so
know
he was the
all
charge
of
of the
them,
whole. Okay,
all of them.
understood. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I mean, I don't know. Are you kind of familiar with the MC situation in Super Ego?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago, bro. So yeah, I kind of get I get it a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah. So like the first thing that I've kind of got flabbergasted by when I got to Super Ego was the amount of MCs that they have. Like that's bonkers. Like I did one company prior to Super Ego with two MCs, but it was still like a legit company. Like they
Yeah,
only had two MCs because they bought it and so forth, but everything was legal. They didn't cut the drivers, didn't give them false invoices and so forth. But these guys, these motherfuckers, man, they had 14 MCs. 14
And that's
MCs
only what's
under one.
under. That's only probably that's like the Jordan one. That's probably the EJ Holdings one, and a couple of whatever the Cordon or
Windy CD
Cordon.
and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah, but then that shit goes even deeper, right? Where it spreads into the other like the same shit as them, but like the bigger ones, right? Like the other bigger ones that are still all tied together, even though they're not running under the Super Eagle umbrella technically, right?
Yep, exactly. And also what you need
And that
to
hold
know,
on, just one more
like, I
question. And that
mean,
Mimic guy's in charge of those too, like the other ones as well, not just the ones that are
yep,
under Super Eagle. Okay,
yep.
understood.
I
Okay,
mean, he of course has his managers. He has a main manager for this MC. He has this manager for this MC, and then that manager has his own 5 managers for 5 boards, and those 5 managers have 10 managers for 20 people in their crew and so forth. Like, I mean, it runs really deep. So let's say Oscar, then Mimic or whatever you want to call him,
mm-hmm.
then let's say 14 managers for 14 MCs, and then those 14 MCs, each of them has at least
Couple more.
5 managers of the fleet, and then you have at least 20 dispatchers under those managers, and all of those dispatchers
Are in the
do
same building.
everything under the same building, and they all work for 14 MCs at the same time.
Got it. So now,
Yeah,
so
and
so how is it working with the brokers then? Okay, so I understand, like I know understand how this shit works, right? But then if you're booking all these brokers never check if it's the same signs picking up the truck. Because like right now that shit's crazy, right? Like a lot of shippers are checking signs. You got to send pictures of the truck. So are they even booking up the load board at all, or are they just these are all just connections where nobody's gonna give a fuck? They could pick up under any MC that they don't care.
yeah, well, I mean, I did work there 4 years ago, so the story was
Was
not
yeah,
like that
yeah.
deep. Yeah, so you could actually book a load off the DAT. It was hard as hell, and like you couldn't do anything with your MC. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would call, for example, Avenue, and they would just tell me to fuck off. Like a completely logical thing to do if you see like 5 different freight guards under one MC, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, but some of the new brokers that just got into the the market, they were not aware of those things. So they would actually allow uh, Super Ego to do their stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So
Because I've seen right
kind
now
of
that they're turning them. I don't know how true this is because again, this is all just online stuff. But I guess like shippers are turning them away today after like this week after like seeing the 60 Minutes thing. So like they're getting like turned away like as shippers and shit like that, and customers are dropping them.
yeah. For example, I've got into the situation with one broker today. I'm now. This is crazy. Just because they're turning their drivers away, I get uh, a quote from a broker. I'm not sure should I say their name, but there's also a deeper story into the brokerage of Super Ego, which I didn't hear into the documentary that I will tell you later. So I booked a load, and we got to the shipper around 1 p.m. and they told us that our appointment is 1:30. So, uh, sorry, 9:30 a.m. So I contacted the broker and I asked what happened, and they said, "Well, just register as Windy City driver." And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Well, we're not a Windy City driver, and we won't do that. So who the hell are you guys?" And it turned out that it was a super eager brokerage that got turned that their truck got turned off from the shipper, and they wanted to, have another carrier just do the load. The thing is that the whole super ego department is really well organized. Like, there's no flaw in it. If we're gonna talk about criminal activity, they did their stuff. Like, they knew what they were doing. They have brokerage, like, for example, when you ask yourself for the market on Friday, why did the market drop? Like, there's no reason to to get dropped. Well, it's the companies like Super Ego that already booked thousands of loads, and I'm not even joking. Like, those are thousands of loads. They just go onto the DAT under the completely clean MC, which I don't know which MC that is, and they book all of the loads, and then they resell it, and they
Mm-hmm.
resell it for less money, and they drop the market, so they are double.
But those
broke
MCs don't last
windows,
long,
and they
probably. I'm
have
guessing, right? They get fucking burned up really quick.